I ran a pressure washing business for 25 years, and window cleaning was always one of the services that we offered. And I'll tell you something that most people outside the industry, they don't realize. Running the business is actually way harder than cleaning the windows. Quoting jobs, scheduling crews, managing customers, following up for reviews, answering calls, keeping everything organized. That's where most companies really struggle. And after using just about every CRM that exists for service businesses, we decided just to build our own. And in this video, I'm going to explain why so many window cleaning companies are switching to QuoteIQ instead of platforms like Jobber or Housecall Pro. Now, let me say something real quick. I am giving away a lifetime subscription to our QuoteIQ Max plan. Not a free trial, not 6 months free, not a year, but lifetime. That's our top enterprise plan, unlimited users, 8,000 AI credits every single month, a budget-built site is included, priority support, enterprise level tools. If you want to enter, comment the word lifetime in the comment section down below. We're going to pull the name from the comment section on April 3rd, so good luck. Now, before we get too far into this, I do want to be completely transparent. My name is Mike Vidan. I am one of the co-founders of QuoteIQ, but long before there was any software company, I ran a pressure washing business, like I said, for 25 years. And like most exterior cleaning companies, window cleaning was always one of the services that we offered. Now, I'll be the first one to admit something very honestly. The guys that do window cleaning full-time, the specialists who do nothing but windows day in and day out, these guys are true artists. They are incredible at what they do. We offered window cleaning as part of our service lineup, but the companies that specialize in it are on another level when it comes to the craft. But the business side of the industry, quoting, scheduling, customer management, follow-ups, organizing crews, that's something that we understand extremely well because we lived it for decades. And after running a service business that long, one thing became very, very clear. Most software that's built for service companies wasn't designed by people who actually ran one. It was designed by software companies trying to enter the home service market. And if you've used enough CRMs before, you probably know exactly what I mean. They look great in demos, they look great in ads, but when you start using them in the real world, things start breaking down. You realize that they weren't designed around how technicians, how real business owners actually work in the field. You realize you need another app for photos, another tool for reviews, another system for scheduling automation, another tool for online customer quoting, another program for measuring properties, another subscription for customer communications. And before long, you're paying for 5 or 6 different tools just to run your business, and that gets frustrating fast. So when we started building QuoteIQ, the philosophy was simple. Instead of creating a CRM that relies on a pile of integrations, we wanted to build a platform that already included the tools contractors actually need every single day, because every app creates friction, every login, every monthly bill, another system your team has to learn, another integration that might break, and eventually your CRM turns into a bunch of disconnected tools trying to work together. So we started by focusing on the real operational problems that contractors actually deal with, right? Now, before we get into the advanced tools and some of the things that make QuoteIQ different, let's start with the foundation. And I'm talking about the core functionality, the bread and the butter of every CRM that they all have to have. Every window cleaning business, every pressure washing company, every exterior cleaning contractor needs the same basic operational tools. You have to be able to send professional estimates, convert those estimates into invoices, schedule a job, collect the payment, and then follow up with the customer to generate reviews. If a CRM can't do those things flawlessly, none of the advanced features matter. And that's something that we focused heavily on when we were building QuoteIQ. First, estimates. Contractors need to be able to send professional estimates really fast without jumping through a bunch of screens or filling out a bunch of unnecessary fields. With QuoteIQ, you can create and send clean professional estimates. You can attach contracts, terms and conditions directly to the customer who sees everything. You can get an electronic signature built right into the system. Electronic signatures protect your business, create a documented agreement, and elevate the professionalism of the entire process. And then once the customer approves the estimate, converting the estimate into an invoice done with one click. No rebuilding the job, no copying information over, just one click and the estimate becomes an invoice. And then scheduling is built directly into the platform as well. So once the estimate is approved, the job can be dropped right onto the calendar and assigned to a technician or a crew. Now, payments integrated directly into the system. So when the job is completed, the customer can pay the invoice right then. Everything stays connected: estimate, invoice, schedule, payment. All of it lives in the same workflow so the business stays organized. And then, of course, once the payment is completed, I already mentioned the review process, that becomes automated, because one of the biggest drivers of growth for any window cleaning business is customer reviews. The system automatically sends a review request to the customer immediately after the invoice is paid, which dramatically increases the chances of the customer actually leaving you a review. So those are the fundamentals: estimates, invoices, scheduling, payments, and reviews. Every CRM should be able to do all of those things. And with QuoteIQ, we made sure that that foundation is fast, it's reliable, and it's easy for you to use. Now, here's where the separation really starts to begin. Because once you have the core workflow locked down, the question becomes how much friction still exists in your daily operations. And that's where the philosophy behind QuoteIQ really starts to show up, and where the real separation starts to happen, and why contractors are choosing QuoteIQ over Jobber and Housecall Pro every single day. One of the biggest bottlenecks in the industry is quoting. If someone reaches out for a quote and you take too long to respond, chances are they have already moved on and they have hired somebody else, because speed matters. Speed to the lead is critical. And that is why we built MapMeasure Pro. MapMeasure Pro allows contractors to measure properties directly from satellite imagery, Street View, and even a Zillow button, so you can take a look at the property. The more sources you have, the more accurate you can get. Now, this might not be for all residential jobs, but for commercial window cleaning storefronts, it's a huge time saver. So instead of driving across town just to figure it all out, you can generate an estimate from your phone or your computer. And for window cleaning businesses, that can save you hours every single week. You can just quote faster, you can respond to leads faster, get back to them, close more jobs without wasting a whole lot of time. Now, another feature built directly into the platform is QuoteIQ Cam. Now, this is our built-in photo documentation system where you're able to take before and after photos inside the app, attach them directly to the job record. And of course, this is also great for marketing and social media posts. Now, if you used other CRMs before, you know many of them rely on third-party apps for this, like Company Cam. And those apps, they work fine, but they're another subscription. And a lot of times those get pretty pricey, and the pricing can also get kind of shady. So make sure you read the fine print, because there's always a lot of fine print. And of course, another system requires you to sync with your CRM. And we all know that that isn't as easy as they say, especially when you're dealing with big files like photos and videos. And when photos are native to the platform, everything stays connected automatically, and that's why we built everything into QuoteIQ. The photos are tied to the jobs. The inspection forms are tied to the jobs. The job is tied to the customer, and the entire record stays organized in one place. We also built something called the Review Multiplier. Now, if you run a service business, you already know how important reviews are. Reviews build credibility. They improve search rankings, and they help customers trust your company. But most contractors, they get busy. They got a lot going on. They wear a lot of different hats, and they forget to ask for reviews, or they ask too late. So the Review Multiplier automatically sends a review request to the customer immediately after the invoice is paid, because timing matters, and that's the exact time that you ask for a review, right after the customer has a great experience with your business. But we didn't stop there. We built an entire command center called the Review Hub to monitor review analytics, send mass email and text review requests, automate those requests, even have your AI receptionist make outbound calls to your customers to ask them to leave a review. Redundancies in place? Check. Leaving nothing to chance? Check. Another part of the platform is the ClientHub. ClientHub provides a dedicated business phone number so your texts with your customers stay inside the platform instead of scattered across personal phones. That keeps conversations organized, searchable, and tied to the customer record, which becomes really important once your business starts to grow. We also built in InstaQuote and InstaSchedule. Now, this allows customers to generate their own quote and schedule themselves directly directly from your website, which means your business can capture leads 24 hours a day, even when you're not answering the phone, when you're not on the website, when you're not answering text messages. And in today's world, that matters because most customers aren't leaving voicemails anymore. If they can book instantly, they will. If they can't, they usually move on to the next company who does. Now, here's where things get really interesting. InstaQuote is the most advanced instant quoting tool available anywhere. And we didn't build it to look cool in a demo. We built it to actually work in the real world. It's not overpriced. There are no ridiculous one-time setup fees like some of our closest competitors. And unlike a lot of these so-called AI quoting tools popping up everywhere, it's not just pulling public records and satellite measurements and pretending to know your job. Window cleaning isn't that simple. Does the house have screens? Are the windows double paned? How many panes per window? Interior, exterior, or both? French panes? Storm windows? If you don't ask the right questions, the quote isn't real. That's why InstaQuote was built specifically with window cleaning workflows in mind. You can configure it for basically every type of window you clean and the conditions that actually affect the job that you do. Because the truth is, instant quoting only works if the quote is accurate. You don't want to show up to a job and suddenly start raising the price because your software guessed wrong. That destroys trust immediately. Accuracy in instant quoting matters far more than speed. A lot of CRMs slap a little get instant quote box on a website just so they can say they have that feature, but when you actually look under the hood, it's just a gimmick. Don't rely on a CRM saying they have an instant quote unless it can actually do what it's supposed to do. And that's give your customer a price that doesn't change when you show up to do the work. Because at the end of the day, the integrity of your quote is more important than how fast it loads. Trust will grow your business. Prompting ChatGPT to spit out some code for a half-baked quoting widget won't. Now, let's talk about something that frustrates a lot of contractors when it comes to software, and that is the pricing, okay? You sign up for a platform at one price, and then a year later, the price goes up. And then another feature becomes an add-on, then something else becomes an upgrade, and then suddenly the software that you signed up for at a reasonable price costs 2 or 3 times as much as you expected or you were told. That's exactly why we created the QuoteIQ Price Lock Guarantee. If you sign up for QuoteIQ at a certain price, that price stays locked in for as long as you remain an active subscriber. So if pricing changes in the future for new users, your price does not change. Your price stays exactly the same. We did that because we come from this industry. We know what it's like trying to manage overhead, buy equipment, pay insurance, pay fuel costs, and still grow a business. Contractors shouldn't have to worry about the software they depend on suddenly becoming unaffordable. The stability matters. Now, to be fair, there are situations where other CRMs might make sense. Large companies with big office teams sometimes need very specific integrations with accounting systems or marketing platforms. But for most window cleaning businesses, the goal isn't to build a complicated tech stack. The goal is to stay organized, move faster, close more jobs, and run the business efficiently. And that is where QuoteIQ tends to resonate with most contractors. Everything lives in one place: quoting, scheduling, customer communication, photo documentation, reviews, automation. And instead of juggling multiple tools, the platform connects everything together in a workflow designed around how service businesses actually operate. That's really the biggest difference. QuoteIQ wasn't built by software developers trying to enter the home service industry. It was built by contractors who spent decades inside the industry. We built the platform we wish we had when we were running our own businesses. And after 25 years in the field, one thing became really clear: the easier your systems are to use, the easier it becomes to grow your business. QuoteIQ is a CRM built by contractors for home service businesses that combines quoting, scheduling, property measurement, customer communication, and review automation in one platform, allowing companies to run their entire operation without relying on multiple third-party apps. Most guys don't even realize how expensive integrations become until they're paying for 4 or 5 different tools. The goal with QuoteIQ is really simple. We wanted to give service business owners everything they actually use every single day in one platform. Thanks for watching. That's it. Check it out for yourself. 14-day free trial, myquoteiq.com.